Hi everyone, my name is Bill Schumacher. I'm the Human Subjects Coordinator for the University of Oregon, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Human Subjects Pool, which is the system that we use in order to help students find studies to participate in for their introductory courses, as well as some upper level extra credit. So first thing, what is the Human Subjects Pool? It's essentially a system for helping students, you all, to find studies in which to participate. These studies will hopefully give you some hands-on interaction with psychology research. So just like labs in some of your other courses, this is kind of the lab section of your psychology courses. You'll also get to learn how research is done. So typically you read a lot of things like articles and textbooks. So hopefully this will give you a little bit more information about how studies are done, what goes into them, and what students or participants are expected to do. Hopefully this should help you get a better sense of what studies look like, what's involved, and what researchers have participants do to help you get a better sense of what's going on in the papers and textbooks that you read. You'll also learn about all different kinds of research. So your class and the things you read will cover some different areas of psychology research. And hopefully what you participate in will help give you an even broader exposure. So our department has tons of fields, including cognitive psychology, developmental psychology, neuroscience, social psychology, personality psychology, whatever you can think of, we have it here. It's a pretty big psychology program. There's also linguistics research in the pool, so you may do some linguistic studies. Typically they use the same or some of the same methodologies, so that should hopefully give you some of the same exposure to research. Hopefully the experiments should be interesting for you. So because we have so many different fields, there are a lot of different methodologies. This can include conversations with others, having your brain scanned, filling out questionnaires, and even if you've participated in studies before, methods really vary from term to term, so you'll never really know what you're going to get until you actually sign up to participate. For those of you in online courses, really all you're doing is online studies, so you'll basically be filling out mostly online questionnaires. But still, the kind of questions you answer can be very different. The kinds of things researchers are looking at in their online questionnaires can vary wildly. So hopefully, whatever you sign up for should still be interesting for you. In a broader sense, you'll be contributing to society. So like I said earlier, the U of O has a pretty big psychology program, and it's pretty well renowned across the world. The research that gets done here gets published in international journals. It's read by lots and lots of researchers. So your participation contributes in a small way to our overall understanding of the human mind. In terms of what you have to do, you get credit for your time. So 4.5 hours of participation in studies equals 4.5 credits. You can do this in any combination. So those of you taking this course online will have to do online surveys, which are mostly listed in half credits. So each online survey is a half credit, meaning half an hour. So you'll have to build those up to get to 4.5 credits. But there are also online surveys that can be an hour long, hour and a half long, and so for each hour you get 1 credit. As long as you get to 4.5 credits, it works. In terms of rights that you have as a participant, you have rights as a human being overall, so we really want to give you the best possible experience. This includes the informed consent, so you'll basically get a little document telling you what you're in for, basically some guidelines of what the study will include. We don't tell you everything because we don't want to bias your responses. I'll get to that a little later. But we tell you the basics of what you'll be doing in the study. You also have the right to opt out at any time for any reason. So if you don't feel comfortable answering questions or need to leave for some reason, you can just choose to opt out and move on and do something else. There are no repercussions for this. You're allowed to opt out. That's one of your rights, and you'll still get credit for as much time as you spent completing the study. So if you spend 15 minutes completing a study, you'll still get 1/4 of a credit. So no repercussions for opting out at all. You also have the right to a positive experience, as I mentioned earlier. So every study that we do here is approved by what's called the Institutional Review Board, or IRB, to make sure that you gain as much as possible for your time and to minimize the amount of harm to you. There's not really a lot of harm that comes with studies, especially online ones, as many of you online students are doing. Typically, the worst thing that it could be is bringing up some potentially negative memories. But again, there's actually a lot of research that shows that disclosure is beneficial. So, you can still gain a lot of things for your time, and most importantly, real understanding of how research is done, which is the most important gain. And we strive to minimize harm as well. In terms of a debriefing is essentially what we do after the study has been completed. The researcher will tell you what the study was about, why you did some of the things you did. Again, we do this after the study has already been completed because we don't want to bias your responses. But once you've completed everything, you'll be told exactly why you were answering the things you were answering or doing the things you were doing, and what the researcher was looking for. There is an age requirement, so you do have to be 18 years of age or older to participate in these studies. If you're under 18, you'll have to talk to your GTF about an alternative assignment. Studies are always posted in half credits, so as I talked about earlier, 1 credit equals 1 hour of participation in research. So studies will typically be 0.5 credits, 1 credit, 1.5 credits. You'll always get as much credit as advertised, and you can potentially get more credit if the study goes over and you agree to stay. So if the researcher says, okay, we're at the end of this hour, but could you just go a little longer? You always have the right to opt out, so you can say no, but if you can go a little longer, that will, you'll get more credits for your time, essentially. Credit does refer to undivided attention, so for online studies, we pilot the studies, so we know how long they're supposed to take, so you can't get extra credits just by kind of delaying your participation in studies, making it take longer than it should. So undivided attention means you're paying attention to the study the whole time, you're going through at a reasonable pace. You should also ignore your Facebook, the other things that come up on your laptop, your phone, newspapers, whatever. And this undivided attention also refers to debriefing and consent processes. How do you go about finding a study? We use a system called SONA Systems. Researchers will post time slots that you can sign up for. You can cancel later if you choose not to participate. I'll go into that in a little bit more detail later. But first, let me introduce SONA Systems a little bit. So this is the web page for SONA Systems, and the opening essentially login site. So you have a user ID, a password section. If you've used the system before, just use your old user ID and password, no matter how long ago it was. But if you do need a new account, go to the new participant link on the left-hand side of your page there. Once you click on that, you'll have a consent document to read, as I talked about earlier, an informed consent, just letting you know the policies for the human subjects pool. You input your first name, last name, you create your own user ID, your UOregon email address. You should only sign up if you don't already have an account. Again, if you've already participated before, just use your old one and use your old information. If you don't remember your old information, feel free to talk to me. That's totally fine. But if you're creating a new account, please fill in all this information that you see on your screen here once you go to the website, not on this PowerPoint slide. But what's really important here is that even though you're providing your personal information like name, email address, things like that, researchers will never see this contact information. SONA kind of hides your information from researchers. The only way they'll see your personal information is if they ask you specifically, can we use your name just to link your data to something else? You always have the right to say no. That's your right as a participant. We hope it helps you feel okay being honest. Some of the questions in surveys can be sometimes sensitive, and we really want you to be honest answering those questions. So feel confident in the fact that your name will not be connected to your responses unless you specifically give consent for that. So once you've filled out all this information and created an account, this is kind of your home page here. You can click Study Sign Up to see available studies. You'll find and click an available one that you see in this listing. The one I've circled here is Schubert 2. You'll notice that all of the names are not specific to what the study is about. They're actually composers' names. We do this intentionally to prevent what's called selection bias. So we don't want people signing up for particular studies that they're interested in because that may bias responses overall. We kind of want random selection as much as possible, so people randomly selecting studies. Again, this is it's kind of weird because you won't see what you're signing up for because before you actually start participating. But again, there's always an informed consent, so you'll know what you're basically what you're in for, and you can always opt out at any time for any reason. So you'll have the option of kind of getting out of there if it's something you don't want to do. So once you've selected a study that you're interested in, just take a look at the study info, check for available time slots, which you see at the bottom of this slide. Pick a time slot that suits you. So if you're doing an in-person study, you can use, you'll see available time slots listed, the location, things like that. If you're doing an online study, you won't see dates and locations for those. You'll actually see participation deadlines because you can do online studies at any time through any computer that accesses the internet, as long as you complete it by the participation deadline. So once you see something that works for you, either in person or online, just click sign up for the time slot and you'll see this result which says sign up successful, so you know you've actually signed up for the study. For in-person studies, it's really important to note the location. So it's your responsibility to be in the right place at the right time. So make sure to note the location. For online studies, there is no location. You'll be able to do it through any computer that has access to the internet. So you don't really need to worry about location for online studies. As I was just talking about, online studies, like I said, there's a participation deadline, so you have to complete it by then. And as I said earlier, still based on undivided attention. So we know how long the studies are supposed to take. Researchers kind of test that. So we'll only give you as much credit as it should for the amount of time it should take. So if you stretch it out to an hour long of going through the survey because you're doing other things, you won't get extra credit for going beyond what it should take. It's really, it's undivided attention. So don't be browsing other things like Facebook or online news or things like that. And also, online studies aren't always available. They can be limited. So if you want to be safe and make sure that you get as many online studies as you can, sign up early, get your credits done early. You won't have to worry about it. Once you've signed up for studies, you can always check My Schedule and Credits, which is on your homepage. There you can see what studies you've signed up for. You can also see how many credits you've completed, how many more you have to go. It can also, if you're doing in-person studies, it can also remind you of the time and location of the studies you've signed up for. So it's kind of a nice resource to have if you need to double check how you're doing throughout the term. In terms of canceling studies, if you're doing online studies, you don't actually have to cancel studies. Just not participating is cancellation enough. But if you do actually do in-person studies, you need to cancel these studies up until 6 p.m. the night before the study takes place. So you won't be able to cancel after 6 p.m. Researchers can technically cancel until 9 p.m. Just because some studies need multiple participants, but just check your email before you walk out the door if you're going to an in-person study, or the night before the study is supposed to take place, just to make sure it hasn't been canceled. It's pretty rare, but just want to make sure so you don't waste any of your time. In terms of tardiness and credit, again, this is really only relevant to in-person studies, so online studies, you don't have to worry about this. But for in-person studies, if you are late, the time will start from when you arrive, and only if the researcher is able to run the study. So if you show up 30 minutes late for a 30-minute long study, they're probably not going to be able to run you, so that'll count as a no-show for you. If the experimenter is late, the time will start from when you were supposed to get there and start the study, so you'll get credit for actually being there on time. But again, it's also if you are able to participate. So if the researcher shows up 30 minutes late to what's supposed to be a 30-minute study, you probably say, nope, I'm sorry, I have other plans, and that's totally fine. That'll count as an experimenter no-show. You'll still get 50% of the study credit, plus you can participate again for full credit later, which will hopefully lead to 150% of the credit you would have gotten had the researcher showed up on time. For in-person studies, if you get a no-show, and an unexcused no-show, so one that you didn't plan for, you didn't talk to the researcher about, you get one of those per term. If this happens more than once, so twice per term, you won't be able to participate in any other studies for the rest of the term. You'll have to do an alternative assignment. Technically, I can forgive them, quote-unquote forgive them, but this is very rare, usually requires doctor's notes, so don't count on that. Just try and show up to your studies at the right place at the right time. Again, for online studies, this doesn't really happen because you're not really showing up anywhere. You're just taking the study. So don't worry about it if you're just sticking to online studies. When you first log into Sona, you'll be presented with a pre-screening survey, which is an online survey that qualifies you for other studies. Hopefully it should give you access to more studies. So people that are looking for particular demographic information that you may fit, they'll put questions in this pre-screening and give you access to their studies. It takes about 30 minutes, or actually it'll take a little less than 30 minutes. You'll still get a half credit. It's also not mandatory, so you can go through the whole thing and say you prefer not to answer any of the questions, and that's just fine. It's new every single term, so you'll have to take it again. Even if you've participated before, you'll take a new pre-screening this term. But again, not mandatory. You can feel free to say no, you'd prefer not to answer to every one of those questions. Do you have to participate? Absolutely not. It's unethical to have mandatory participation in studies, so you can still earn the same grade in other ways through an alternative assignment, which you can talk to your GTF or instructor about. So this is typically the portion of my presentation where I ask for questions. Unfortunately, through online surveys, online students, you won't be able to ask me questions through this presentation. However, please feel free to email me at hscoord@uoregon.edu. That's my email address. I am always here to answer questions. That's kind of part of my job. So please email me if you have any difficulties, if you have any questions regarding what I've told you today. I've listed some resources right at the end of my presentation here, including the Research Pool webpage, which gives you some more information about the Human Subjects Pool, the Sona Systems website, which you can access to create your account and sign up for studies, and again, my information to ask me questions if you have any. You can also contact Research Compliance Services, RCS, which is the overarching body that oversees all research done at the University of Oregon. So if you don't feel comfortable asking the researcher questions or me questions, you can always contact them to kind of go over our heads a little bit. But hopefully I can answer any questions that you all may have. Thank you for your time today. I hope this was informative. And again, please email me if you have any questions about any part of this process. All right, thanks so much and have a good term.